I'm Nabalah. I am a 26-year-old fashion designer and fashion blogger. I usually style blog, which means that I blog about styling clothing, styling fashion. Apart from that, I study communication studies at UWI. I have a degree in communication studies and a minor in international relations. Well, I'm a Central girl. I was born and raised in Chaguanas, and I attended the Barataria Senior Comprehensive School. I did Form 1 to 5 there, and then I did my A's at Quinnipiac High School. Then I moved on to UWI, where I graduated with a BA in Communication Studies and International Relations. Then I moved on to UTT, where I studied fashion design, and I'm currently enrolled in Star Broadcasting, pursuing a course in radio broadcasting. Last year, I was featured on BBC. The Conversation, it's a program that features Muslim women and regular women from around the world. They usually do features on them, telling their stories and what experiences they've gone through in life. And so BBC contacted me and they wanted to put my blog on that program. So I said yes, and then I went on to the radio station, but we stayed here in Trinidad. I didn't fly out or go to London or anything like that. So I did my interview here, and they put me with Hidayah. She's from Japan. She's also a Muslim fashionista from Japan. And so after I was featured on BBC, I got my blog got a lot of hits, and so the whole momentum just started taking place. People started contacting me. Then last week I was featured on BuzzFeed. They did a feature on Muslim women and how they style their clothing for work. And so that particular feature went like wildfire. Then other companies started taking BuzzFeed's story and featuring it on their website. Cosmopolitan is one of them. The Revelist is also one of them. And so because of that, a lot of other websites and companies started contacting me. They were so interested in my hijab story and my blog, my advent into fashion as a Muslim woman, etc. Yeah, so I've received a lot of new followers. I've received a lot of new subscribers to my blog. Everybody wants to follow Nabalah and be part of, the whole fashion scene. They want to know me as a Muslim woman. How did I get into fashion? How am I so successful in the fashion industry? Where I started, who am I? They're just so inquisitive about Nabalah. Well, I started my blog in 2013. That's when I started blogging, and really it was just a space for me to share my fashion, what I felt was appropriate for myself as a Muslim woman. A lot of people would usually ask me, how do you style your hijab, where do you get your clothes, etc. So I started a blog to document, what I wear, etc., where I get my fashions, why I like fashion. And it progressed into something more. I felt like every week I wanted to shoot something new, and so I got my photographer on board. We've been working together, Louis Young and I, for the past 3 years. So he shoots all my photos. He does everything for me, and we've been doing it religiously. I'm a very persistent and consistent person in what I do as a hijabi woman, as a modest style blogger. So it's really just me being consistent with how I style my clothing and fashion, etc. So yeah. Well, my goal is to have my own brick and mortar store, boutique. One day I really want to be a hijab designer because I love hijab. I love what it represents. And there are so many boutiques all over the world that sell hijabs, and I'm like, why don't I start my own hijab line and have something that's unique to myself and unique to the Caribbean? I also hope that I become more successful as a fashion designer, because right now I consider myself an emerging fashion designer. I would love to say one day I am an established fashion designer in the Caribbean. So that's where I hope to take my whole momentum one day. One of the things I try to do is never compromise my beliefs, my morals, my faith. I just try to stay within what's acceptable in Islam. So I'm always fully covered. I'm always modestly dressed. There are requirements of a Muslim garb, so I try to stick with that. There are a lot of people who say that, fashion is frivolous and it's vain, and I bring a lot of attention to myself, but my main thing is that my intention is good. I want to send a message out there to people that, Muslim women, we are not boring, we are not oppressed. We can still be faithful to our faith and stylish as well. We don't have to be confined by our religion, because a lot of people have this notion that, Muslim women are just in a box, and we're not in a box. We're creative and we're successful, and we can do that whilst maintaining our faith. I'm a very outgoing person, so I'm always like, I want to participate in certain things. And there was one particular incident, the UE pageant, where I removed my hijab because I felt like, if I didn't, I wouldn't advance in the pageant. And I think that was a really eye-opening moment for me, because it helped me find who I am and really understand what hijab means, because before I didn't really understand what it meant, because I took it off, obviously. So I think the hardest part for me is coming to terms with myself as a Muslim woman and what hijab means to me. There was an audition for the pageant, and I auditioned with my hijab. One of the judges asked me if I'm willing to take my hijab off, because there would be segments such as swimsuits and stuff. So I was like, yes, because I really wanted to advance in the pageant, right? So I did that. I got through with the auditions. They selected me, and then we started doing training, catwalk training, etc. We had one photo shoot, and I think, after that photo shoot, I removed my hijab for the photo shoot and also the catwalk training. But after that one photo shoot, when the photos did go up on Facebook, I guess that was when I was exposed. And so, a lot of my friends stopped talking to me. Some of them shared my photos. They said really bad things about me. And it was just really, really horrible. And then I started reflecting like, is this what I really want? And then I thought, I'm hurting my friends, I'm hurting people, because I also thought about what they thought about me removing my hijab. And so it was really a difficult time for me. I reflected upon my purpose as a Muslim woman, and if this is going to make me happy, am I doing this just for a title to gain, like, Miss UE Queen, and then what? When I eventually decided to put my hijab back on, I decided to go full force. I'm not compromising my hijab ever again. I decided, whatever I get into, I'm going to stay there with my hijab on, and I'm not going to let anybody tell me, you can't participate with your hijab. I decided that I am going, and I'm going to make it with my hijab, and that's what's been happening. I am going places, I would like to believe, with my hijab on and staying faithful to Islam. I'm a very self-motivated person, so it's very easy for me to get up one day and say, okay, Nabalah, we're going to do this, we're going to accomplish this, etc. Of course, there are people who inspire me. Their personalities are very inspiring. The things that they have accomplished are very inspiring as well. But one person who inspires me and who I look up to, no, I think my inspirations really come from myself and knowing what I want to achieve out of life and where I want to go. Okay, so a journalist from BBC contacted me, and I was like, wow, this is like a big deal, and she asked me if I would be interested in being featured on BBC's The Conversation. It's a program for women, and I was stoked, because like nobody ever contacted me through my blog for anything like that. And I thought, what is it about me and what is it about my fashion and my style makes BBC want to feature me, makes BBC want to tell my story to the world? Because they have over 1.4 million listeners. So that was like OMG for real.